A reading from Mark chapter 7. He left that place and set out for the territory of Tyre. There he went into a house and did not want anyone to know he was there, but he could not pass unrecognized. A woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard about him straightway and came and fell at his feet. Now the woman was a pagan, by birth a Syrophoenician, and she begged him to cast the devil out of her daughter. And he said to her, "The children should be fed first, because it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the house dogs." But she spoke up. "Ah, yes, sir," she replied, "but the house dogs under the table can eat the children's scraps." And he said to her, "For saying this, you may go home happy. The devil has gone out of your daughter."
Jesus by Father Bob. Jesus came to the poor and lowly to love them into wholeness. His words were spoken to the oppressed and suffering, and to all who had no voice. He moved among those who felt lost and abandoned, and to those excluded from society. He touched all those who were disgraced and anguished and imprisoned. He said to all, "Do not be afraid, because I love and forgive you." He saw every person as of great value and precious in his sight. Jesus called us the beloved of God, the chosen ones.
Well, not being Jewish, I do not have the Jewish mentality that we might find in the marketplace, in the Jewish markets, where everybody is bargaining back and forth and arguing about prices, and the buyer saying, "Well, this isn't very good quality," and it just goes on and on. This is a very happy part of this story, because Jesus, being Jewish, was able to do that with this Syrophoenician woman who wasn't even a believer, but she'd heard about Jesus, obviously, and her daughter was in need of help, and so she came to Jesus and asked point blank, "Well, can you not help here?" And Jesus said, "Well, why would I do something for you before I do something for my own people?" In other words, and she said to him, "Well, even the dogs eat the crumbs of the children under the table." And Jesus was just glowing with that response, because it's exactly the correct Jewish response in the reparti. And so the daughter was healed, and the mother went home happy. I often think about the fact that Jesus created humankind for himself, and there isn't a single human person who ever was or ever will be that is outside that loving power that is manifested here toward this woman. And people don't all have to come to know him in exactly the same way. We have to walk the path that he had planned for us long before the world even began. Yes. And so we have to be present to our own movement forward in God. And a lot of people never stop and even think of that. That the plan was already made. My life was already, I'm walking the journey that Jesus wants me to walk. And everything that happens to me is within that allowable will of God. And like this little woman, you can almost see her walking up to him, and maybe bowing a little bit to show courtesy, but then coming right out and starting arguing with him back and forth. And he loved it. And that's the part that tickles me, is that he loved the repartee, and he was proud of her and gave her what she wanted.
So it's okay for us to sometimes question God, or to say, why God, or...
Oh, definitely. And we can even argue with him. He loves it. He knows what that's all about. Okay. That was part of their whole background. Is always going back and forth.
The gospel today tells the story about a non-Jewish woman who comes to Jesus seeking his help. She's a Syrophoenician woman, and her daughter's in great distress. But it isn't easy for her to get Jesus to help her, it would seem. This story reminds me of the story in Genesis about Jacob, who one night meets a man, he thinks, and wrestles with this man who is an angel, or as he learns the Lord, he says to this man, "I will not let you go until you bless me." And so Jacob wrestles with this man and gets this blessing, and his name becomes Israel, the one who strives with God. And so the life of faith involves that aspect of striving with the Lord at times. The book of Psalms helps us, gives us the language at times to do this. And so today I'm going to use Psalm 13 as our prayer to give expression to our desire that God will help us. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I have perplexity in my mind and grief in my heart day after day? How long shall my enemy triumph over me? Look upon me and answer me, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, lest I sleep in death. Lest my enemies say, I have prevailed over him, and my foes rejoice that I have fallen. But I put my trust in your mercy. My heart is joyful because of your saving help. I will sing to the Lord, for he has dealt with me richly. I will praise the name of the Lord Most High. Amen.